Let's bring in George Will now, NewsNation senior contributor, also a Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for the Washington Post. Mr. Will, thank you for coming on. And let me put that question to you. These early voting numbers that we are seeing are breaking records for midterms, specifically in Georgia. Thousands more voting this time around than in 2018, the last time there was a midterm election. So what do you make of that early voting participation so far? And what implications do you think it has for the election and the control of Congress as a whole?
Well, first, a surge of early voting can be, but is not necessarily a sign of civic health. That is, a lot of people may be voting because this is a sign of the polarization and an undercurrent of anger throughout the country. Let's hope it's not just that. There's a problem with early voting. On the one hand, there's a competing value. We value high turnout, and early voting makes it easier for people to vote. On the other hand, we used to have election day. Now we have election season. Election day was kind of nice. It was a civic moment when we all paused and went to the polls together. That sense of shared civic engagement is, I think, dissipated by early voting. Furthermore, to take just one case, Pennsylvania is going to have the single Senate debate between Fetterman and Dr. Oz at the end of October. They will have been voting in Pennsylvania since September 19th. So important, and we think informative, campaign events are going to occur after millions of votes have been cast.
I do find that really interesting. If you're going to make a vote, then you might want to see what they all have to say. But I guess the counter to that would be these folks that are voting early, they've made up their minds already. Do you think that they should still be waiting?
I don't really think so. I think we know that a great many Americans have their minds well made up in advance of Election Day. I suppose perhaps the truly undecided vote, the vote that might be swayed by rhetoric or events between now and Election Day, might be at most 5% of the electorate. Still, 5% of the electorate is enough to change the outcome of a lot of races.
It is. Everything's so close, and Georgia is one of those races. It's very close. It is one of the many tipping point races, one of the battleground states, along with Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, states of that nature that could help shift the balance or maintain the balance, depending on which party it goes to. So why have these states taken all of the focus? We've got 34 Senate seats that are on this year's ballot, and we're boiling it down to basically 4 that are most important. So why are they the most important?
Well, they're the most important because they're close. I would caution, however, the following. Usually there is a surprise. Somewhere out there, there's a Senate race that people are just not paying sufficient attention to. A few moments ago on NewsNation, your viewers saw talk about the dispute between Joe O'Dea and Donald Trump. Well, Joe O'Dea is making a serious race against a serious two-term incumbent in a purple state. So I think it's too early to write off a number of states that have indeed, by conventional wisdom, been written off. There are some surprises out there, I guarantee you.
All right, that is George Will. He kind of needs no introduction, but George Will, thank you very much for joining us. Also, I should mention, in the next hour, we will speak to the Hill's Julia Manchester about some sleeper races. So Mr. Will said we've got some races out there that shouldn't have been called yet. We got North Carolina, Colorado, Florida, and Washington. We're going to discuss those in the next hour. Thank you very much for coming on. Also, we mentioned debate season. It's in full swing. NewsNation is the exclusive network home of the Pennsylvania Senate debate. The only place you can watch Dr. Mehmet Oz face off against John Fetterman is here, and coverage begins Tuesday, October 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern on Debate Night in America. That'll be live from the capital of Harrisburg.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.